The fate of World War II could have been completely different, if not for a small group of Polish mathematicians solving a puzzle that everyone thought was impossible. The Enigma machine was the Nazis' greatest weapon of secrecy during the war, used to encrypt crucial military communications. With 150 trillion possible combinations, the machine created a seemingly unbreakable code. For years, experts believed no one could crack it. But in a small room in Poland, 3 young mathematicians took on that challenge and succeeded. Today, we're uncovering the extraordinary and little-known story of how Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Rosicky and Henryk Zygalski cracked the Enigma code years before anyone else, forever altering the course of the war. Though their breakthrough was hidden in the shadows of history for years, the Polish team's discovery was one of the greatest intellectual achievements of the 20th century. Without their brilliance, World War II could have had a very different outcome, and yet their names are still rarely mentioned in the broader story of Enigma. How do you protect your most vital military secrets? The Nazis believed they had the answer, a machine so advanced no one could ever break its code. The Enigma machine was more than just a cipher. It was a technological marvel, a piece of engineering that allowed the Nazi military to send encrypted communications with near impunity. Each message that was typed into the Enigma was scrambled through a series of complex rotors, creating an encoded message that was then transmitted by radio. On the receiving end, another Enigma machine, calibrated with the same daily key, would unscramble the message, revealing the original text. The system seemed foolproof. The settings on the Enigma machine changed daily, and no letter could ever be encrypted as itself, adding to the layers of complexity. To break Enigma, you'd have to guess the settings for the machine, a task that seemed impossible, given that there were over 150 trillion potential combinations. To put that in perspective, if you tried one combination every second, it would take you more than 4 million years to test them all. But even the most intricate systems have weaknesses. The Enigma machine had a flaw, one small design oversight that opened the door for brilliant minds to break it wide open. No letter could be encrypted as itself, and for 3 young mathematicians, this flaw became the key to unraveling the Nazis' code of secrecy. In 1932, 3 young Polish mathematicians did something that seemed impossible. They cracked the Nazi Enigma code before the war even started. This achievement came years before Britain's famed Bletchley Park joined the Battle of Wits. The task of breaking the Enigma code fell to a small, dedicated team at the Polish Cipher Bureau. Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Rosicky and Henryk Zygalski were mathematicians by trade, but they were soon called upon to use their skills to solve one of the world's most complex puzzles. They were up against a machine with more possible settings than there are stars in the Milky Way. Using intercepted messages and a combination of mathematical theory and sheer determination, Marian Rejewski made a breakthrough. By applying permutation theory, Rejewski was able to deduce the wiring of the Enigma machine's rotors, an incredible achievement that gave the Polish team a way in. However, there was still one major challenge. The Enigma's settings changed every day. Even with Rejewski's breakthrough, they needed to find a way to keep up with the machine's daily shifts. That's where Zygalski and Rosicky came in. Zygalski developed what became known as Zygalski sheets, perforated sheets that filtered through the possible combinations, narrowing down the settings for each day. Meanwhile, Rosicky developed new ways to interpret and use the intercepted messages. This Polish team was reading secret Nazi messages well before the outbreak of World War II, something few outside Poland knew at the time. The work they did in those early years was nothing short of remarkable. By 1938, the Polish Cipher Bureau could regularly break Enigma messages, but they knew that as the war approached, they wouldn't be able to keep up with the increasing complexity of German codes alone. They had to share their discoveries, or all their work would be for nothing. Just weeks before the Nazi invasion of Poland, a secret meeting in a Polish forest changed the fate of World War II. In that meeting, the keys to cracking the Enigma machine were handed over to the Allies. In the summer of 1939, with war looming, the Polish Cipher Bureau made a bold decision. They had cracked Enigma, but they didn't have the resources to keep up with Germany's daily updates to the code. If they were going to win the war of intelligence, they needed help. And so, in July 1939, representatives from British and French intelligence were invited to a secret meeting in the WWII forest, near Warsaw. At first, the British were sceptical. The Enigma machine had been regarded as unbreakable, and the idea that it had already been cracked seemed unbelievable. But the Poles didn't just talk, they showed them. They demonstrated how Rejewski had reverse-engineered the machine's wiring, how the Zygalski sheets worked, and how they had been reading German messages for years. This meeting was one of the most crucial intelligence-sharing moments of the entire war. Yet it remains one of the least known. The Polish team didn't just share their insights, they handed over working replicas of the Enigma machine and detailed documentation explaining their decryption methods. The British were astonished. They took the Polish breakthroughs back to Bletchley Park, where they would later form the foundation of the intelligence work done there. Without this meeting, Bletchley Park's success would not have been possible. The Poles had laid the groundwork. Now it was up to the British to take it further. While Alan Turing is often celebrated as the man who broke the Enigma, his work would not have been possible without the Polish breakthroughs that came years earlier. When the British intelligence officers returned from the WWII forest meeting, they brought with them more than just hope. They carried the tools, documentation and the methodology to crack Enigma. The stage was set for the next chapter of code breaking, and it unfolded at Bletchley Park, the secret British intelligence hub. Here, cryptographers would build upon the Polish discoveries to scale up their efforts and outpace the ever-evolving German code machine. The Polish mathematicians had created the bomber, a machine designed to automate the process of breaking Enigma's daily settings. This early breakthrough was the foundation on which the British would build their more advanced version, called the bomber. Developed by Alan Turing, the British bomb could test thousands of combinations per minute, dramatically speeding up the decryption process. But the work was far from easy. The Germans were constantly updating their procedures, adding more rotors to the Enigma machine and increasing the complexity of their codes. Turing's team, however, was relentless. Thanks to the Polish insights, they had a head start and were able to make crucial breakthroughs in time to affect the war. By 1940, thanks to these efforts, the Allies were decrypting thousands of German messages every day. This intelligence became critical in key operations like the Battle of the Atlantic, where the Allies managed to avoid devastating U-boat attacks, and D-Day, where they anticipated German defences. Bletchley Park may have been where the Enigma code was cracked at scale, but none of it would have been possible without the pioneering work of the Polish codebreakers who came first. How many lives can be saved by cracking a code? What if breaking a single machine's code changed the outcome of the entire war? Breaking the Enigma code wasn't just a technical achievement, it was a military turning point. The intelligence gathered from Enigma messages was critical in some of the most significant battles of the war. The first major victory came in the Battle of the Atlantic, where the Allies were able to track German U-boat positions and avoid deadly ambushes. This kept supply lines open between North America and Europe, an essential lifeline for Britain. It's estimated that by 1944, Bletchley Park was decrypting up to 84,000 messages a month. This constant stream of intelligence gave the Allies a crucial advantage, allowing them to anticipate German moves and counteract them with precision. The impact of breaking Enigma was most famously seen during the planning of the D-Day landings. Through decoded messages, Allied commanders were able to anticipate German defensive strategies, ensuring the success of the largest amphibious invasion in history. Without the insights gained from Enigma decrypts, the Normandy landings might have ended in disaster. Historians estimate that breaking Enigma shortened the war by 2 to 4 years and saved millions of lives. Without the ability to read Nazi communications, the Allies would have faced far greater challenges, and the war's outcome could have been very different. The story of Enigma is not just about cryptography. It's about the lives saved and the battles won because of the intelligence it revealed. The war was a human conflict, but it was also a battle of minds. A battle the Allies won thanks to the brilliant work of cryptographers, mathematicians, and codebreakers. From the Battle of the Atlantic to D-Day, the success of the Allies was shaped by the ability to break the Nazi code. And it all started with the brilliance of 3 Polish mathematicians. History often forgets its unsung heroes. The Polish codebreakers are a reminder that, even in the shadows, brilliance can change the course of history. After the war, the contributions of Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Rosiecki, and Henryk Zygalski were largely forgotten. While Alan Turing and the British team at Bletchley Park became symbols of the Allied success in cracking Enigma, the Polish codebreakers faded into obscurity. The secretive nature of their work, combined with the shifting political landscape of post-war Europe, meant that their contributions went unrecognized for decades. The situation was particularly difficult for the Polish codebreakers. With Poland occupied by Soviet forces after the war, any connections to the West were seen as politically dangerous. Rosiecki, tragically, had died in a plane crash in 1942 while still working on cracking codes. Zygalski eventually emigrated to Britain, where he lived quietly as a mathematics professor, and Rejewski returned to Poland, where he worked as an accountant, rarely speaking of his war contributions. But their legacy was too important to remain in the shadows forever. In the 1970s, historians began to uncover the full story of how the Polish team cracked Enigma long before the British entered the fray. Rejewski's story was finally published, and in time, the world began to recognize the pivotal role that these mathematicians played in defeating the Nazis. In 1980, Rejewski was awarded one of Poland's highest honors, the Order of Polonia Restituta, and Zygalski was recognized posthumously for his contributions. Today, statues and plaques honor their work, but the fact that their legacy was hidden for so long serves as a reminder of the forgotten brilliance that shaped our world. The work of Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Rosiecki, and Henryk Zygalski was nothing less than a triumph of human intellect over the chaos of war. Though their names were forgotten for years, their legacy now stands as a testament to the power of perseverance and ingenuity. The story of the Enigma Codebreakers is not just one of war and machines. It's a story of human intellect, collaboration, and the forgotten heroes whose brilliance changed the world. Today we remember Alan Turing and the codebreakers at Bletchley Park, but behind their success lies a less told story, that of 3 young Polish mathematicians who first cracked the code that would change the tide of war. Without their early breakthroughs, the intelligent successes of the Allied forces may never have happened, and the outcome of World War II could have been far different. The story of Marian Rejewski, Jerzy Rosiecki, and Henryk Zygalski reminds us of the power of human intellect in the face of impossible odds. These mathematicians didn't have the luxury of advanced technology or armies of assistants. They relied on their minds and their determination to solve a puzzle that no one else could. And in doing so, they helped change the course of history. If you've been inspired by this untold story of intellect and perseverance, be sure to subscribe for more historical stories that highlight the hidden heroes who shaped our world.